Noreen Vanderslice. Did I say that right?
You did, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
What a great name.
Tell me about Noreen.
I think she's lived in her own world up until kind of the season starts. She's been exposed to certain things, literature and music, in her own sphere, and then she gets thrown into circumstances that I don't think she entirely expected that would happen to her over the course of the season. So you're going to see her deal with a lot of ups and downs, I think.
Yeah.
She'll be given a lot of bigger questions that I think some 17-year-olds would never have to ask themselves, like the deeper meaning to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And to see what she does with it and how she handles it, I think is interesting.
Yeah.
For the
For you as an actress, what is the preparation that goes behind, preparing for a role like Noreen?
Yeah. Well, it's because the show takes place in the late 70s and 79. I think it's really important to understand the time, both politically and, as a woman and as a young woman, and also the environment that she lives in, because it's such a small town. So you have to kind of understand your circumstances, but then also recall what it's like to be a 17-year-old, It's I don't know if you remember, but I remember being,
yeah. When you were auditioning for the role, were you auditioning for Noreen?
I was, yeah. I remember getting the audition and then binge watching the first season.
Yeah. And
just having to have it. Like I did everything that I could to prepare. I got a dialect coach. I watched as much Coen Brothers stuff that I could, just to kind of get the vibe and the context. And then I just took a breath and went in, and it was really fun. The sides for Noreen they're phenomenal. They're funny, and they're kind of dark and edgy and sharp, and so
witty.
Yeah.
Do you share any similarities with the character?
Well, I think I'm as maybe peculiar as she is. She definitely, she doesn't fit into any kind of box at all. Once you start watching the show, you see that she's kind of got her nose glued into a book for the majority of the season. And so I was given a Camus book, Albert Camus. I'm saying it wrong. It's French.
Okay.
Camus, right?
Camus?
Yeah. That's embarrassing. Yeah. Camus. And I haven't taken any first year university courses that would introduce me into something like that. So that was my first philosophical kind of read. So jumping into that head first was kind of full on, but it was really interesting, the concept behind it. And then also Kafka. I don't know if you've ever, Franz Kafka, he had another one. I read something called Metamorphosis, which the context of that book is there's a man and he wakes up. It's set, I think, in the early 1900s, and he's a businessman. He wakes up one morning and he discovers that he's a cockroach. And then the story just goes on. There's no explanation why or how. It's just, I think that's very present in the Fargo and the Coen Brothers films, is that you don't really get an explanation. It's just life continuing on after these occurrences. Yeah. And so it's interesting to think of it that way, to take fate out of it, and to take, destiny out of it all, and just think of things as these random set of events. Yeah. I think Noreen would align herself with those kind of beliefs.
Okay, so I'm going to take a little side spin over here, because when I was researching a little bit about Fargo, I found myself on Reddit. So I was on Reddit, and I saw a comment that was it made me laugh. So, Disco Manifest, that was whoever's tagline, commented on that Reddit post for Fargo. He was like, I walk hand in hand into extinction with Noreen. So you were Noreen instead of Emily right now. So if you were Noreen, how would you respond to this?
I would maybe say, read Camus and then we'll talk.
You booked 9 roles in the 2 years that you've been acting.
Yeah.
Is it 9 or is it more than 9?
It might be, I'm not sure, but something like that might be 10. I don't know.
Oh, that is insane.
Thanks.
That is insane in such a good way. What do you do behind every, audition process? You know, how do you prepare yourself? What is your secret?
Well, I haven't been in the game as long as some people have, but once I decided to go into acting, I went in full force with the entire dedication, and I arranged my whole life around it. So everything that I do is just to support myself as an actor. Every other job that I've had, or every course that I take, so I think, understanding script analysis and, the big picture and what each individual character means, that's all part of what you do when you go out for an audition. But I think a lot of the journey for me has been about not, being able to be vulnerable. I find that is almost the most interesting challenge about this career, is because you can't be afraid to reveal yourself honestly in front of complete strangers. And then, I never think about the audience when I'm, on set reading to a camera, but that essentially too can be such a widespread, group of people that are just witnessing you give your heart and open up. And so overcoming any stigma that I have about being my true self, I think has been a really interesting journey that I'm still navigating through. A really deeply set reason why actors do what we do, because it's kind of a little bit crazy, I think, to want to put yourself through those emotional swings and put yourself into these intense places. Like I did this one scene where I was getting raped by this guy, and this was for a student project that I did a long time ago, and you carry that emotion with you, you carry that kind of that scene and that trauma with you, for weeks after I did that scene. I just, I couldn't physically be touched by anybody, I just felt the weight of it all. And so to want to do that and to want to put yourself in that space, I think the reason that I do it is I find to communicate on that emotional level and to tell those stories on that emotional level, it's almost therapeutic.
So you're on set with a lot of very established actors and actresses. So you have Kristen Dunst, for example, as one of the leading ladies in the series.
Yeah.
And how is that for you? I would be completely starstruck. I wouldn't know what to do. Just kind of stare at her, because I've been watching her since I was a little girl.
I know. Interview with the Vampire, Virgin Suicides, Melancholia, Spider-Man.
Totally.
I know.
Yeah. So
I've seen her in so much
how
stuff.
do you keep composed, or do you not keep composed, or you just fangirl? I don't know.
Yeah.
What was it like?
I respect her so much as an actor. So I think, I didn't know what to expect my first day. She was the first person that I met, my first other cast member that I met. I went into the makeup trailer, and then she was just sitting right there, and then before I could even be like, oh, hey, I'm Emily, she was like, oh, Emily, hey, oh, your character Noreen, she's hilarious, and just right off the bat, she was, she's, one of the leads on the show, but she was a consummate professional the entire time, and made me feel so welcome into the show and in every scene. And I was debating whether or not to say anything, because it's Kristen Dunst, right?
Yeah.
But I think all I said was I really appreciate your body of work, and she was so humble.
I read one of the interviews that you've done, and you were like, you know what, Jessie taught me some relaxation techniques.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would love to learn some relaxation techniques.
Okay, should we do it right now?
Sure.
Okay. Even now I feel nervous and excited, and you have all that going through you. So it's just about kind of close your eyes and breathe deep into your belly.
Okay.
And then kind of just take your breath and let it wash over your body, and breathe into the different parts where you feel you may hold tension. Maybe for me, a lot of it's in my neck. I find a lot of times. I've been told that I act through my neck sometimes from my acting coach, and I'm like, oh God, got it. For me, it's just a lot about calming down, because I get so excited and wound up. So it's really just about breath, and then you could kind of stretch stuff out. just noticing like all the emotions that come up for you, like
Yeah.
giggly, right?
Yeah.
So whatever that is, you know,
Yeah.
it's fine, not judging it. And then you just kind of like keep working through your body and do it head to toe.
For people who haven't watched Fargo, haven't watched season 1, haven't watched season 2, kind of heard about it, if you could sum it up in 2 words, just 2 words,
Okay.
what would you sum it up at?
Bloodshed in a Midwest town.
So watch Fargo.
Watch Fargo.